Yeah, just because we're doing something kind of new.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey Dennis, I think we're good. We'll hop off. Sorry. Yeah, it should be. We'll just start recording.
Good evening. I would like to call the meeting of the Parks, Recreation, and Arts Commission to order. City Clerk, would you please conduct roll call?
Commissioner Soto.
Present.
Commissioner Ward.
Present.
Commissioner Kucharski is absent. Commissioner Collier. Commissioner Barraza.
Present.
Commissioner Singh.
Present.
Commissioner Miller.
Present.
Vice Chair Dolan is absent. And Chair McCoy.
Present.
We have quorum.
Thank you. We will now begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Will everyone please stand? Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with the approval of the agenda. City Clerk, are there any changes or proposed changes to this agenda?
There are no changes.
All right. Your microphone.
Would it be possible, I'm thinking most of the people are here from the arts. Okay. I was wondering if we could move the arts decision up first, so we can take care of that first, so they don't have to sit through all the other things.
Unfortunately, we have an agenda that's already been set, so we have to follow the way that the agenda is. But everyone would be able to comment on the on the arts component once we get there, but the agenda has already been set and we cannot move it. But I will refer to our city attorney to clarify it.
In regards to that particular item, you could take it out of order. However, you do need to approve the agenda and go through the basics, the approval of the agenda, the minutes, and then if the commission would like to hear it, they could take it out of order since it allows for public comment as a standalone item.
So will Commissioner have to make a motion to do that and then get votes?
Yes.
Okay, well, you can make a motion.
Okay, do we approve the agenda first?
So you need to approve the agenda
Okay.
for the items.
Okay. So approve the agenda without no amendments.
So you're not making an amendment to the agenda, you're just pulling an item, you're changing
The order of
the
way.
order of
Okay.
the,
Understandable.
yes.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner
Second.
Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Barraza. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no. This item is approved. We will now move on to the approval of minutes. Approval of regular minutes of May 20th, 2024, and the special meeting of May 29th, 2024. The regular minutes of June 17th, 2024, and special meeting minutes of July 1st, 2024. Are there any changes or proposed changes to the minutes, City Clerk?
There are no changes.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Commissioner
Second.
Soto. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. This item is approved. We will now move on to subcommittee reports.
Madam Chair.
Can I please get the subcommittee reports out the way, and then I will bring up the Fresno Arts
Okay,
Council.
thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to subcommittee reports. This item is a time for discussion for the commission, and no public comments will be taken related to this item. Does the Cultural Arts Plan have Subcommittee have an update they would like to provide to this commission?
Yes, we have an update. The Cultural Arts Subcommittee wants to express to the local arts community that we stand with you in empathy and solidarity.
Commissioner Ward, is your mic on?
It is on.
Okay, can you speak a little closer, please?
Yes. Okay, the Cultural Arts Subcommittee wants to express to the local arts community that we stand with you in empathy and solidarity. It's undeniable that Measure P passed in large part due to your passion and persistence, and that your contributions to the heart and soul of our city cannot be overstated. Although it may not be visible to the public, the city staff, or our fellow commissioners, for the past year, Commissioner Miller and I have devoted hundreds of volunteer hours to public community engagement meetings, listening sessions, subcommittee meetings, and individual conversations with community members who have contacted us to share their thoughts, ideas, hopes, and dreams about the Measure P art grant process, all with the goal of taking a thoughtful, community-led approach to the implementation of the Measure P art grant program and getting this much-needed and long-awaited funding into the hands of artists, culture bearers, and organizations who participated in the competitive grant process and received scores that entitled them to an award. Over 70 organizations and individual artists and culture bearers working through eligible fiscal sponsors engaged in this first round to participate in the Measure P Expanded Access to Arts grant process and were announced as intended to receive grant awards on May 20th, 2024. As is expected with any process in its first year, it revealed opportunities for future improvement in areas that need to be further considered and addressed, but it also demonstrated the immense need and outright hunger in the City of Fresno arts community to access this funding and the broadly diverse cross-section of talent and service that is found throughout Fresno. Where their office or home-based organization is cited does not diminish or dictate their value or accurately reflect who they serve. In fact, a closer look at the proposed grant awards demonstrate that many established organizations who have larger donor bases and are thought of as reaching traditionally resourced parts of the community were pushed through the contours of the grant application questions and scoring to advance diverse projects which uplift BIPOC artists, composers, and culture bearers. Further, the Measure P art grant contracts will require every grant recipient to gather and report on very detailed demographic data of who they reach and serve through their grant-funded activities. This data, which will be transparently reported to help establish the baseline for the public and this commission to better understand who is and who is not being reached through the Measure P art grants. That data will continue to inform future process improvements. It has been immensely frustrating to have the Cultural Arts Subcommittee kept in the dark as the May 20th announced grant awards have been slated for reconsideration and then summarily dismissed at the end of the July 1st special meeting for continued consideration tonight without any discussion or consideration of the very human negative impact caused by such delay. Immediately after the meeting, I received a message from a dance school owner previously announced on May 20th as intended to receive Measure P art grant funding that they are having to take money out of their retirement account to make payroll as these grants are inexplicably delayed. To all the arts community members who are counting on this funding and who are watching it slide into bureaucratic quicksand, please know that the Cultural Arts Subcommittee is heartbroken with you and remains your steadfast advocate. At the July 1st special meeting, our subcommittee advanced a proposal that not only those grant awards previously announced at the May 20th meeting be ratified, but that available funding be utilized to additionally fund the emerging culture applicants in both the organizational support and project grant categories who scored from 3.0 to 3.9 at the 80% level, which is afforded to the current intended awardees who scored between 3.5 and 3.9. This is not a specific endorsement of any individual applicant, but a proposed allocation adjustment to modify the May 20th recommendation. If the city attorney determines that we're not able to make modifications to the grant awards as presented on May 20th, then this could perhaps be a consideration for future changes. For the benefit of the public and our fellow commissioners, please be aware that if the Measure P art grant awards are confirmed tonight, that will open another 10-day appeal period. Following the conclusion of that period, the commission will hear and determine the appeals at a future meeting, either on August 19th or a different date if a special meeting is scheduled, and only after that time will grant contracts be signed and funding awarded. If an organization makes an appeal primarily for the purpose of advancing an ideological point, it will hopefully be done with the full support of their board of directors, being cognizant of the impact on every potential grant awardee. The equity discussion raised at the July 1st special meeting is significant and must be addressed, but it cannot and should not be done without community participation and a thoughtful, considered process that is intended to truly serve those under-resourced areas of Fresno. As discussed at that meeting, equality is not equity, but the first round grant process revealed specific opportunities to help ensure that applicants from areas of Southeast, Southwest, and Central Fresno are positioned to be eligible to receive Measure P Art Grant funding going forward. Following the conclusion of the appeals period next month, this commission will know how much funding remains available from the first year grant funding process. Further, although final numbers will not be confirmed until October 2024, the budget information presented at the May 29th meeting indicated the round 2 will have funding of approximately $5.6 million. The Measure P ordinance expressly anticipates multiple solicitations to allow for a diverse set of programs with different program sizes and reach to be funded through operating support and project support grants that are transparently reviewed and awarded in a competitive process. Provided that it is done in a manner consistent with that language, this commission can develop a targeted process to complement the general Measure P Art Grant process, one that is intended to specifically reach and serve the communities of Southeast, Southwest, and Central Fresno to help achieve the intended equity outcome. To be done well, this should involve engagement with those communities to ensure that it reflects their needs and desires and has an outcome where more members of the communities are both aware of the funding opportunity and how to take the steps necessary to become eligible to participate. We've already seen arts and culture organizations moving their principal place of business from Fresno County into the city of Fresno to become eligible for Measure P Art Grant funding. Targeted efforts to support Southeast, Southwest, and Central Fresno should take into consideration how best to ensure that it is the traditionally underserved community members who are reached and not a potential influx of applicants who relocate there for the purpose of increasing their chances of benefiting through the Measure P Art Grant process. How to address this issue should not be determined at a commission meeting absent a thoughtful and intentional community-led process, and it should not be done at the expense of more than 70 intended grant recipients who were announced at the meeting on May 20th. This commission has the discretion to allocate some of the available funding towards such an equity-focused outcome, and the Cultural Arts Subcommittee would be very supportive of taking the steps necessary to help continue to move the Measure P Art Grant process forward in ways that continue to better serve the arts community across all of Fresno. Thank you.
I want to thank you, Commissioner Ward, for your comments, but I do want to address one part of your comments. It's not that you were taken back. It was just that we didn't receive the proper information in enough time for us to be able to review it. We also added a new commissioner to our commission, so wanted to allow enough time for our new commissioner to review the information as well. And now that we all have the information and we have reviewed it, now we're ready to proceed on. Does the Highest Needs Neighborhood Subcommittee have an update it would like to provide to the commission?
Yes, we have an update. The timeline will need to be adjusted based on some feedback from the subcommittee. The survey was shared with us. There was some feedback provided to try to make the outreach survey a little bit more robust. So we will be meeting with our consultants, WRT, this week to figure out how we can make that survey a little bit more tailored to what we are needing at this point in time. That's changed slightly from the last feedback survey that was done, so we're hoping to not delay the process too much longer, and hopefully we'll have more specific information after this week's meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Soto. Does the Parks Master Plan Subcommittee have an update it would like to provide to the commission?
Madam Chair, today we have a discussion on the schedule, so right now I don't have anything.
Thank you. And does the San Joaquin River Parkway Subcommittee have an update it would like to provide to the commission?
No update at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Singh. We will now move on to member reports and comments. As a reminder, this is a time for commission members to report anything they feel important for the public or commission to know, but it's not a time for a discussion. Commissioner Barraza, do you have any reports or
Not
comments?
at this point, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Singh?
None at this point.
Thank you. Commissioner Miller?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner
Oh, yeah.
Collier?
I don't know if I can bring it up again here. When will we move?
We're gonna move it up as soon as we do our members and reports.
Okay.
Okay, so do you have any reports or comments for the commission?
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Ward?
None, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Soto?
I just wanted to comment on the update by the Arts Grant Subcommittee and just kind of echo the comments of Chair McCoy in that I don't think it was, or it wasn't, speaking for myself, my intention to delay this process. I think as Chair McCoy mentioned, the subcommittee had a lot more information than the rest of the commission did that was shared very close to our meeting, and with a new member, we did not all have the opportunity to review in detail a lot of the information that was not shared but had been requested at previous meetings. So, I just want to make it clear that, while I regret, any issues or aggravation that this delay has caused, I think it's a great opportunity for us to learn and do better this, next round. But also, I think it's really important to point out that there needs to be an improvement in communication. I've been disappointed as well that we're kind of having to push back this outreach survey, because outreach is something that, I have voiced we need to improve on to connect better with the community. And so getting that survey, again, so late and so close to the time where we're supposed to be starting, a lot of these things can be worked out if communication were more timely. So it's something that I just want to bring up and kind of just shed a light on in hopes that we can improve to make this process a better one for everyone going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Soto. We will now move on to City Administration and Park staff reports and comments. Does anyone from the administration side have any reports or comments for the commission?
Nothing this evening.
Sure, I can speak louder. I can use my cheerleader voice. Would that be loud enough? Okay. Does anyone from the park staff have any reports or comments for the commission?
Good evening, Chair McCoy. No updates at this point.
Thank you. So we're going to pull our workshop up before our unscheduled communication. ID number 24-942, workshop to review of the Parks Master Plan Technical Amendment Public Review Draft Comment Period Process and Schedule. Would someone from the Parks Department please begin the presentation?
Good evening, Commissioners. Sarah Gaitan, Program Manager with the Parks Department, here to speak on the Parks Master Plan Technical Amendment and the Public Review Draft. On our agenda today, we are going to be speaking on the recap of the process to date. We will review the Parks Master Plan Technical Amendment Public Draft. We will also be reviewing the timeline so far, and we will also speak on how to comment and what our next steps will be. Recap of the process to date. A little bit of background. The original Parks Master Plan was created in 2017 and adopted in 2018. Measure P went into effect in 2021. Our consultant, WRT, updated a technical amendment to include Measure P and new census data that was available as of 2020. The technical amendment does not change goals and recommendations defined in the Parks Master Plan. The Parks Master Plan Subcommittee reviewed and provided feedback to the updates chapter by chapter. We now have a public review draft available. I'm going to be reviewing some of the updates that were made to each individual chapter. For the executive summary, there was Measure P language added throughout the entire chapter, and there was also updated sections to reflect the changes made to all of the other chapters. In Chapter 1, which is our introduction, there's again, updated section to reflect the changes that were made to all of the other chapters. And then there's also Measure P language added throughout the entire chapter. Chapter 2 focuses on the demographic and recreational trends, updated to the most current census recreation data. So our consultant updated demographic trends from 2010 census data to 2020 census data throughout the entire chapter. They also added new district graphics along with the district maps that were already there. Chapter 3 speaks on our park system overview. There are updated initiatives and joint use partnerships to address the shortage of open space and recreation opportunities. There were also updated figures with current park system assets, so we updated the list of our park inventory. In Chapter 4, which is the park system management, there were minor grammatical updates to the chapter. There was, we added the Parks Department reorganization that happened after Measure P, and there were new direct expenditure tables. Chapter 5, titled Guidelines for Design, had no updates. Chapter 6, our needs assessment, there was Measure P and highest needs neighborhood language added throughout the entire chapter, and there were sections from Chapter 6 moved into Chapter 7 to better align with the new sections that were in Chapter 7.
Sarah, do you want the commission to hold off on questions until after your presentation?
That would be beneficial.
Okay.
Thank you. Chapter 7, Chapter 7, prioritization and improvement strategies. There was, again, Measure P language added throughout the entire chapter. Section 7.1 and 7.2 were moved from Chapter 6. 7.3 is a new section speaking to prioritizing improvements in existing parks. 7.5 is also a new section to incorporate Measure P highest needs neighborhood as a priority location for new parks. In Chapter 8, named Financing Your Parks, Measure P language was added throughout the entire chapter, updated funding opportunities. There's also a new section, which is 8.3, to include typical park improvements and costs. And Chapter 9, the goals and recommendations. There was Measure P language added throughout the entire chapter, but the goals and recommendations were not updated. They remain the same. For our timeline, it looks like we are on track with what we presented previously to PRAC. We are actively kicking off our public comment period as of today. Our goal is to bring this back to PRAC for a recommendation in September, which will be followed by a council presentation in October. For next steps, our public comment period, like I said, begins today, July 15th, and will run through August 23rd. The reviewed draft is available online at www.fresno.gov/parks/parks master plan. There you'll be able to find the full technical amendment with the proposed updates all highlighted in yellow. And you will also be able to see the adopted 2017 Parks Master Plan on that webpage. There will be 3 ways to provide comments. There is a form online at that same webpage. We will also have hard copies of comment cards, which we have brought and are ready to give to each commissioner as needed. We will also have a printed draft of the technical amendment at all of our 19 community centers, along with comment cards for people to leave their comments there. And people can also leave their comments during a PRAC meeting, which would be today, the July 15th, and then we will also have another PRAC meeting on August 19th. To get the word out about this amendment, we have built out a landing page with the website that I had previously mentioned. We will be putting out social media information to make the public aware of the update. We are also drafting up email blasts. Like I mentioned, we will have the opportunity for people to come into our community centers and leave comment cards there. We will also be using current resources with our own events at our community centers to provide some opportunities for public comment through those. And then we will also be leaning into PRAC partnerships. So by this we mean any assistance from the commission in the collection of comment cards or other things like just forwarding our emails or sharing the things that we put out on our social media. And that brings me to the conclusion of our presentation, and I will take any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for this presentation that we just received from our commissioners? You have the floor.
The information regarding the projects that had been implemented and funded with Measure P, how much of that gets incorporated into the master plan?
At this moment, we didn't have actual project information in the technical amendment. What we updated was the verbiage of Measure P being allocated into the Parks Department.
Okay. Okay, eventually I'm assuming that we will be able to notice that parks are being improved, better maintenance, new parks, and all of that, because the master plan, I'm assuming, is a guide for the future to see what gets implemented, what the needs are, and that's why I think that the progress that we're making, it's very important that it'll be documented in the master plan. So.
And again, I think it's important just to note this is a technical amendment, kind of a cleanup from the previous adoption in 2018. What you'll see in here is more of, as Sarah mentioned, the touching upon Measure P and what it's planning on doing. Again, 2018, it was not a part, so we want to make sure that's introduced. In addition to that, you'll see new assets that have been added. For instance, Trolley Park will be added. Some sites that have no longer parks assets have been removed. So things of that nature are really what you'll see in here. So as far as some of the details you're talking about won't be caught in this technical amendment. Again, just a technical amendment, cleanup, as Sarah mentioned, and adding and updating of assets.
Thank you.
I have a question. When the Parks Master Plan was updated in 2018, correct? It hadn't been updated in like 20 plus years. So now we have the highest needs definition. Would that be guiding the Parks Master Plan on which park is like the highest need? Because the last time that it was updated, Quigley Park was identified as the #1 park with the highest needs, which needed a lot of work. Mm-hmm. So do we know which park is going to be, or would that depend on the highest need definition?
I think it's going to be a combination of both. Like Erin mentioned for this, it's just a cleanup of introducing Measure P, and they do speak on highest needs in Chapter 6 and 7. But it doesn't give any detail of like this is what the definition is at this moment. It introduces it into the Parks Master Plan. But I do see that.
So
It's
when
possibly in the
would that
future.
be incorporated? Like with the next update to the Parks Master Plan?
I think that's going to depend on the adoption of the technical amendment and how that works with highest need. So as we go through and define the equity factors with the subcommittee, we'll have to see how that plays out with the adoption, but it could if the timing were to align.
Will any of the subcommittees, like the Parks Master Plan Subcommittee or the Highest Need Subcommittee, have any say-so in how that is done, or will it just be all done with PRAC staff?
Well, we have the master plan subcommittee, and then we also have the highest need subcommittee. City Attorney, I have to ask, those two groups cannot mesh, correct, from a Brown Act violation standpoint?
Not so much as come together, but as they meet, they have their discussion and inform you, and as the other subcommittee meets, they have their discussion. Because I know that the highest needs subcommittee is going to be meeting, and they're going to come up with a new definition and identify a park, which is going to be considered the highest need, like a percentage that we have now. So will we inform which park would be number one? Would that be considered like how it was updated in 2018? That's what I'm asking.
You're talking about that priority list on,
Yes.
I'm not quite sure. We can get back to you on that component with WRT, but I'm not sure that that'll be updated, but we can definitely circle back with you and
Okay.
confirm.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to point out that the master plan committee, subcommittee, has been meeting already and reviewing all those sections that are being presented. But I agree of the importance of making the connection on the highest needs area, because that could even change as it's being updated. So all of that becomes very relevant. Thank you.
Yeah, and to that point, this information will be available, in the draft format for the highest needs subcommittee to look at this and kind of steer them in any direction that they feel appropriate to go down.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions in regards to this presentation? All right, we will now move on.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to hearing ID number 23-921. It's a feedback. Okay. We will now move on to the next hearing item, ID-23921, reconsideration of the PRAC Cultural Arts Subcommittee list of recommended grantees, award amounts, project titles, and a brief summary of the project location, scope, schedule, and anticipated impact to PRAC and acceptance of the recommended grantees. Would any member of the public like to make a comment regarding this item? I already know you guys do. I have all these cards up here. So you will have up to 2 minutes to make your comments. And the first person that I will call to the podium will be Debbie Bird.
Chair McCoy, sorry to interrupt. Are you going to get back to item 12A after this?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just pulling this up because of the request of one of our commissioners, because we do want to honor and respect everyone's time in the
Perfect.
chamber.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Debbie Rude, and I'm nervous to talk, but I'm going to do this. I'm the president of the Peace Rocks Foundation and the director of the Hearts on Fire Choir, a 501c3 nonprofit. Peace Rocks Foundation is an all-volunteer organization with 6 board members. We received a notification of the intent to distribute funds to us through the project-specific grant. The Hearts on Fire Choir is a 60-voice community choir, all volunteer, that have been doing concerts and raising money for music scholarships for the past 10 years and is the main project under the Peace Rocks Foundation 501c3. Our project is an annual concert series that culminates in a big concert at the Tower Theater. Our project was stopped at the last Measure P meeting when the majority voted to hold back the funds. Without guaranteed funding, we can't identify a concert date or schedule and commit to a date. The concert that was supposed to have happened this upcoming November has now been postponed until the spring. Honestly, I need a date to secure with the Tower Theater as soon as possible to proceed. Without the funding, I'm able to do that. There is a lot that goes into promoting a concert, and without the funding, we can't begin the process. The Tower Theater is a very popular venue, and one must secure a date months and months in advance. It is my understanding that the last meeting's discussion included geographic equity. The downtown area and the Tower District arguably have the highest concentration of galleries, museums, theaters, performance venues, and cultural arts organizations than any other area in Fresno. It's hard for me to understand exactly what the issue is, but I know that it's bigger than me. And in terms of equity, it just seems reasonable that those districts would be awarded some of the grant approvals. I humbly ask and encourage you to release the grant funds so that the multiple and diverse arts activities in Fresno can continue to live and breathe. On behalf of Peace Rocks Foundation and the 60 Anxious Hearts on Fire choir members, we say thank you for listening.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Jose Martinez.
Good evening, PRAC Chair and Commission members. My name is Jose Martinez Saldaña. I'm the Co-Executive Director of Radio Bilingüe. I am reading a statement from my co-ED and Radio Bilingüe founder, Mr. Hugo Morales, who unfortunately is unable to be here today. Today, I'd like to advocate for the proposal made by Commissioner Laura Ward at the July 1 meeting to include funding for all the emerging project support and emerging general fund, operating proposals that scored between 3 and 3.5. This would add another 6 groups into the funding pool and increase the diversity of the geographic, racial, and cultural representation in the funding. The total request of these 6 groups is $243,000. And an appropriate reduction or reduced allocation could be funded from the remaining pool of unallocated funds. This action would recognize the value and support the impact of smaller community-based nonprofits and allow them to grow alongside the established arts and cultural organizations of Fresno. In the future, we recommend the business of allocations belongs as a consideration of the full PRAC and not the exclusive domain behind closed doors by the Arts and Cultural Subcommittee. Ideally, the subcommittee could recommend various funding scenarios using the ranking by the reviewers, and this could come to the full PRAC, allowing for the necessary public process and discourse in the deliberation of these public funding allocations. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Brooke Payton.
My name is Brooke Payton, and I'm a board member of the Tower District Preservation Fund, a 501c3 nonprofit. I will be reading a letter from our president who is unable to attend this evening. My name is Joe Catania, president of the Tower District Preservation Fund. We are an all-volunteer organization with 6 board members. We received a notification of the intent to distribute funds to us through the project-specific grant, much to our delight. Our project is a series of 12 free monthly jazz performances by local professional jazz musicians, jazz students from Fresno State and Fresno City College, and 1 session open to middle and high school jazz students. Unfortunately, our project was stopped at the last Measure P meeting when the majority voted to hold back the funds. Without guaranteeing funding, we can't identify a monthly date or schedule and commit to paying the musicians. We can't secure a date at our venue. We can't create posters and flyers. We can't schedule interviews at local radio stations. We can't purchase ad space. At this point, we estimate that we will be 2 months out of compliance as stated in our grant application because we can't begin the process, and we do not wish to be non-compliant. I encourage you to release the grant funds so that the creative arts in Fresno can continue to flourish. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Julia Copeland.
Hi, I'm Julia Copeland. I'm a violinist and a retired arts administrator. And all spring I had been bragging about this amazing thing that was happening in Fresno and in no other city that I was aware of. The start of a 30-year injection of significant, in fact, game-changing amount of funding into the local arts community. $5 million per year over 30 years is beyond game-changing. That amount of funding is likely to be life-changing and, in fact, life-giving for the arts in this town. I'm an artist existing in an arts community for which I was ready to read last rites. In a cartoon, I would have drawn the local arts scene flat out with X's where the eyes should be. So I was happy to praise the process when in spring of 2024, at long last, a grant portal opened. Community discussions and training sessions were provided. No one was excluded. Everyone was welcome. A rigorous system of hoops had been created for applicants to jump through. This is standard practice in arts funding. In fact, such a system was required by the city. The city required accountability. The city required professionalism. All that was provided by the application process, and all was approved. All went off almost without a hitch, and in May, recipients and funding amounts were announced, and then nothing. Friends are telling me that their organizations have had to halt projects already underway, given that money expected by July 1st is now in limbo. This money was promised to organizations and artists who jumped through all the required hoops and were notified of their winning proposals. So now, well, anyway, we've been hanging on a thread for many years. We have been a best-kept secret in Fresno because we cannot afford to be louder than we already are. You are moving goalposts without explaining what we, the artists and arts organizations in this town, have done wrong. Why are we not deserving of the funding we have been promised? Please explain why we don't merit our city's support. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Cami Coppola.
Hello, my name is Cami Cipolla. I am with the Fresno City and County Historical Society, but more importantly, I'm here speaking as a community member of Fresno. There's not much I can say that's going to be different than what you're hearing from everybody else and what you've already heard, so I'm going to try to keep this brief. Funding an organization's operations allows it to keep its doors open, create new programs and projects, and benefit the entire community, create job stability, and promote economic growth. This first year's funding, will enable these organizations to improve our outreach and access for the remaining years of Measure P's funding. Although there are limited applications from Southwest Fresno, for example, releasing this year's funds will enable funded organizations like ours to provide outreach and services to these areas, promoting more applicants in the future. The funding will also increase the number of organizations that can be fiscal sponsors, can help write other grants, and help to design future programs and projects for our community. While the first round may not be perfect, we can learn from this year and improve upon next year. Organizations that followed the guidelines, respected the application process, attended meetings, asked questions, and got funded are now being penalized for following the set process. This is an opportunity to learn and improve the process for the next round. It is also an opportunity for the Commission to uphold their commitment to the Cultural Arts Plan approved by the people of Fresno, and for all of us to contribute to the mission of One Fresno, a city that celebrates its, its rich cultural heritage and diversity. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Walt Bird. Walt.
Good evening. My name is Walt Bird. I'm a board member of the Fresno Athletic Hall of Fame. First of all, I want to thank the Arts Council for recommending the Hall of Fame for this award, this grant. The program that we are trying to implement is with youth in the city of Fresno, using the character of the athletes that are inducted into the Hall of Fame to try to help with social and emotional development, re-engaging kids back into school. So this grant is going to enable us to bring the staffing forward to be able to not only implement these programs, develop new programs, also seek grants and additional funding to keep this program going. And we thank you for your support of this. We have a partnership with Fresno State, also the Fresno County Office of Education, to implement curriculum at the Hall of Fame, and we appreciate the opportunity to move forward with this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Daniel Hinojosa.
Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel Hinojosa, and I have a couple concerns. First concern, the place of business was required for this, and a lot of community members don't have a place of business. Second is, there were grant writing experience was required for this. A lot of the members in my community don't have that, which is from Southeast Fresno. There is an immense need for cultural art support in Southeast Fresno. We have Hmong dancing, folklorico, mariachi, Lao dancing, Cambodian dancing, and so much more. Yet we don't have a place to celebrate them. We're the only community without a magnet school for middle school or elementary children. There are several fights that occur in Southeast Fresno middle schools. They continue to be underfunded for arts. An average of 60 fights occur at Kings Canyon, Sequoia, and Torones each year. In total, that amounts to 180 fights. That's a lot. I believe that with support of the fine arts and cultural arts, we have a more prosperous and peaceful environment. But it starts with equality and help from all of communities. So I request the committee to make undeveloped, less supported, emerging, and nonprofits a priority. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Bruce Kalakowski. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, sir.
Chairman McCoy, members of the commission, good evening. My name is Bruce Kalkowski.
Kalkowski, thank you.
I'm a downtown business owner, past Fresno Arts Council president, and current board member. Why are we here? More to the point, why are we still here? 3 years after the Parks and Rec was granted funds, arts and culture has been granted nothing. The latest delay, which threatens to redo the entire grant process, was supposedly because there were questions to be answered. To date, no questions have been asked of the FAC outside of this meeting. Let me clarify. The following questions have been asked repeatedly. Why the delay? Am I still going to receive funding? When is the commission going to allow the process to move forward? Why does the city of Fresno arts and cultural landscape remain unchanged after the passage of Measure P, which has generated $9.5 million? What's the holdup? I'm begging the commission to get off the dime and approve the first round of grant funding for arts and culture. Don't let perfection be the enemy of good. Thank you.
Next speaker will be Veronica Luce.
Hello, good evening. My name is Veronica Luz. I am with the Los Niños de Aztlán Dance Studio. We are a 501c3 in Southeast Fresno. I'm here to echo what a lot of the folks here in this room are already saying, what you've already heard. We're in Southeast Fresno, and we are in the area that is receiving the least amount of funding. You already know that. But one thing that you don't know is that we are, in the folklorico community, there are upwards of 25 folklorico organizations. We're the only organization that applied for this funding because people don't trust this process. There has been a lack of support for the arts and culture, specifically in that area, and so there isn't a trust. People are waiting to see how it goes this year. People are waiting to see if this is going to pan out, to see if it's worth it. As organizations that operate on shoestring budgets, we're used to making things work, but that means we're not going to devote time to writing grants, to finding people to help us write grants, if we don't think it's actually going to lead to something. What y'all are showing right now is that you don't believe in what we're doing, you do not believe in all of the hard work that we're putting in, and you're voting like no confidence in our community, so how are we supposed to support, and how are we supposed to get more people to apply next year? I strongly urge you to move forward and approve the funds so that we can all get back to doing what we know how to do and what we have been doing for decades. Thank you.
Next speaker is Stephen Wilson. Next speaker is Stephen Wilson.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Stephen Wilson, President and CEO of the Fresno Philharmonic. The Fresno Philharmonic is grateful to have been recommended for funding under Measure P. Our audience comes from every city council district, and our education programs reach students from every elementary school within Fresno Unified School District. The Fresno Philharmonic's programs to be funded by Measure P this season include a celebration of our community's Armenian heritage, a concert on Martin Luther King Day weekend featuring a recently composed work by Nikiro Okoye, a world premiere commission based on the history of Japanese immigration to the Central Valley, and a concerto for tabla and orchestra. The organizations and projects funded by this first round will have a huge impact on this community. I'm sure we can all agree that this first year was a learning experience for everyone. The recommended grantees, the Fresno Arts Council, and the Arts and Culture Subcommittee all followed the grant guidelines as approved by this commission. It would be manifestly unfair to upend grant awards merely because of where applicants happen to be located. At the end of the day, that will not serve the cause of equity in any meaningful sense. We implore the Commission respectfully to move forward with the grants as approved on May 20th. Thank you.
Next speaker will be Greg Magic.
I'll take it. It's Greg McGee.
McGee, sorry.
That's all right. I come before you on behalf of the California Opera Association. This organization brings international, national, and local artists to the community to teach and perform opera. I am one of those national artists who has come to town for a production that's being done this next weekend. And it was based on funding that was promised by this board to pay for what is happening. Now, as you know, art organizations don't just take money. We rent facilities, we hire local musicians, we pay for advertising, printing, and all sorts of other services, as well as outreach to students or opportunities for the community members to be engaged in the performances of art, as well as the visual, attending the performances. So we give as much as we are asking in return. Thank you.
Thank you. Judith Martinez is the next speaker.
Hello. Hi, my name is Judith Martinez with the Binational Center for the Oaxaca Indigenous Communities. We were recommended to receive funding for the project-specific support grant. Our event, the Guelaguetza, is a cultural event that has been organized for the past 23 years, and people all over the Central Valley attend. The Guelaguetza provides a safe space for sharing our culture and traditions with indigenous communities in Fresno, as well as provide a safe space for learning for the community as a whole. Our event is coming up in the next few months with the Measure P grant. We would be able to confirm services, promote our event, and start coordinating the requirements needed for the grant. And through the Measure P grant, we hope that we can make this event free to the public as well. The indigenous community is looking forward to this yearly event, and we ask that the funds are released so we can make the Guelaguetza a success. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dr. Lilia Gonzalez Chavez.
Members of the commission, I've heard two issues of concern.
One is that there should be equal distribution of funding across all 7 council districts. And 2, there should be equity to ensure that those who have had limited access to the arts are fully included in this process. On the first point, making grants by council district was never the intent of the ordinance or the process adopted by this commission or the city council. There is no requirement for awards to be made by council district. We know now, however, that we have work to do and that we can bring more applicants from other districts that perhaps were not included this time. On the issue of equity, with guidance from community members, the commission subcommittee, the full commission, and the Fresno City Council, you established, adopted an equitable set of guidelines that facilitated an equitable fund distribution process. Your process ensured that small emerging organizations would have an easier application, 4 questions instead of 6. It designated a category to apply in that eliminated the possibility of comparing larger organizations to small emerging ones. Applicants applying in the emerging category had small budgets of $50,000 or less. That allowed smaller and less established organizations to successfully complete and access this new resource. 40 emerging applications across council council districts will be funded in this process when you lower the funding threshold to 3.
Thank you, Dr. Chavez.
Please support continued funding for the arts.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Olivia Adams.
Hello, my name is Olivia Adams, and I am the chair of the Saints Rest CEDC. We are a nonprofit in Southwest Fresno. I'm here today to address the delay in receiving funds for the arts grant, which we've been speaking about. First of all, I just want to say that we are very grateful for the recognition of our efforts and the support that this grant represents. Our CEDC was awarded $149,000 to support our programming in our plaza. Our plans include hosting local craft markets and arts activities for children this summer, serving our underserved community of Southwest. This community faces significant challenges, including food insecurity, pollution, brownfields, and poverty. Our programming aims to provide vital resources and opportunities for this community, which is predominantly made up of people of color. I stand before you to urge you to please release funding so that we can get to the business of providing these arts opportunities for our community. I request that the commission expedite the process of resolving these appeals and releasing the funds to the awarded organizations, including ours. We're eager to put these resources to work for the betterment of our community and appreciate your attention to this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Etna Garbadinian. I don't know if I'm butchering your name. It's kind of hard to read the writing. Garbadian, thank you.
Thank you, each and every one. Could my team of the California Opera please all stand in favor of opera? We have worked diligently for 25 years to have Fresno become a metropolitan international opera center training school. You are cordially invited to our performance next Sunday. I will leave the flyers and leave the cards because a performance is worth 1,000 words. And these are the stars that are here today to say thank you for this consideration. I hope to see you at the performance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I have two cards from the same person. Jan, I can't read your last name, 912 F Street. Hi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jan Minami with the Chinatown Fresno Foundation. We're located in Southwest Fresno, and we're thrilled to learn of the intent to fund a cultural heritage center in Chinatown. Cultural heritage lays the foundation for creating a sense of community and continuity. With these funds, we will publicly recognize the cultural heritage of Fresno people. If we can get started now, we aim to launch the proposed Cultural Heritage Center in early 2025 to celebrate the 11 cultures that were forced across the railroad tracks when Fresno was founded. We have plans for future years to expand to all origin cultures in Fresno. Not only will this benefit all Fresnans directly, but it can become a tourist attraction that will draw visitors from around the valley and the state, which is especially important since we are located adjacent to the future high-speed rail station. Above all, this funding will allow us to offer the Cultural Heritage Center to all visitors free of charge. With our organizational knowledge of Fresno's cultural heritage, we're excited to share our research and insight with all Fresnans through the Cultural Heritage Center. This project is essentially a museum of Fresno's cultural heritage, a showcase of all people from Fresno. It won't happen without these funds. We won't be able to offer the new jobs that are part of the funding, and we won't expect the economic boost for nearby businesses that this venture would make possible. This is a project that will not only benefit this year, but will grow in importance in successive years of Measure P funding. If we get started immediately, we can rent the best location with which to launch the center. We can begin to gather cultural organizations to form an advisory committee. We can staff the center during the formation process, hiring it this summer, and we can reach our goal of launching in early 2025.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Michelle Pracy.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Michelle Ellis-Pracy, Executive Director of the Fresno Art Museum. This year, the Fresno Art Museum celebrates its 75th year in the city of Fresno, with most of those years adjacent to Radio Park. Thank you for your time, Commissioners, over the past few years devoted to allocating the 12% of Measure P funds to Fresno's cultural arts nonprofit entities. Needless to say, this process has been a roller coaster ride for all of us, including you. We are still on this ride as of this meeting tonight, waiting for approval by the commissioners of the intended grants. Those of us who have been notified that it is intended we receive Measure P funds for our nonprofit institutions and projects are deserving of the recommended allocations. We had anticipated receiving our grant funds in July. The reconsideration has been a hardship for many of us. This should not be so hard. Tonight at this meeting, we ask you to approve the recommended funding made by the Commission Subcommittee at the May 20th, 24 meeting. Any other business, such as appeals and allocating funds from the balance left in the budget, should be addressed at another meeting. We are ready to implement our goals to improve the arts and culture fabric of our city. We respectfully request that you please release the recommended grant allocations as presented to you almost 2 months ago. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Cassandra German.
Good evening. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Cassandra German, and I am the Program Director for Arts Enrichment for All. Like everybody else here, and you've heard multiple times, and you, I'm sure, will hear multiple more times, we appreciate the grants that were awarded to us. However, Our timeline for our projects have been delayed due to unknown delays in receiving the money. It has made it near impossible to plan for the year and begin implementing our arts programs and develop new ones as well to continue to provide our youth with access to the arts. There are many cogs and wheels that have been halted due to these delays. I know that my employees, like everyone here, are inquiring about hours and schedules, and I'm afraid that we will be losing our highly valued artists and staff due to these delays. I implore you to please push forward the grants that were intended to be awarded and to let us all serve our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Vermia Lee. Next speaker will be Vermia Lee. Okay, we will move on to Alicia Rodriguez.
Evening, Commission. My name is Alicia. I'm the chair of the Labyrinth Art Collective in Tower District. We were one of the organizations that received the intent to award. And I know I'm probably going to echo the sentiments of a lot of folks in the room tonight. I think it's one of these situations where it gets contentious and it gets intense, but I don't think it really has to be. I think there's a way to have solutions that honor all the efforts, including the folks who didn't get a chance at it. I mean, I do want to commend the Commission for having a mind to equity. That's very important to our organization and honestly, personally, to me as a person. And I don't think that they have to be mutually exclusive issues. I think we can move forward with the folks who did go by the approved process. This process was approved. This is not a back-end problem. This is a front-end problem. The equity issue is systemic. This is something that needs to be looked at the root of how the cultural arts plan and the grant process is executed. On the back end, after we've gone through the approved process, ourselves being in that group, our board is very diverse. We serve a diverse community. Commissioner Barraza, I grew up in Southeast Fresno. I want to see folks in that demographic get those funds too. I was an art and folklorico student at Roosevelt. So, I mean, I believe strongly that we all need to work together to get this through. Like, we're suffering. The week of the last meeting, I had to go repair a pipe at the space. I'm in a meeting one day and in Grubby's the next, and then I got my day job. We do this because we love it. I really believe Fresno has an opportunity. I lived away in LA for years. I came back. You know what LA has? A cool art walk. You know what Fresno has? Talent. We have a lot of talent. We need to tap into it. A lot of us are ready to roll up our sleeves. We've been rolling up our sleeves. And you've seen the examples in the room. Lots of folks ready to get to work and put this into work in very inclusive ways. And just let us do it. we want to get to work. We want to honor the work that the commission has done, that the city has done, and that we have done as citizens to get this. This is a long process to get Measure P even approved. So.
Next speaker will be Johannes.
Hi, Commission. My name is Johannes Reinders. I have approximately 4 years of experience as a professional grant writer for California nonprofits, school districts, municipalities, applying for grants at the state and federal level. I'm giving public comment to encourage this Commission to immediately approve the 70 recommended awards for funding. The concerns brought up over the last several meetings regarding equity are completely valid. I want to see more organizations like the Laotian Dance Project and more arts organizations located physically in District 5. However, I'm sure this Commission is not thinking it's appropriate to reconsider applicants and take funding away from some of the 70 recommended awardees in order to give it to others. I'm sure this Commission is not thinking it's appropriate to call take-backsies on the entire funding round that closed in March of this year. In my experience as a grant writer, this would create unconscionable damage to the relationship of trust between the City of Fresno and its art organizations. I again strongly encourage this Commission to approve the 70 recommended awardees without delay and to provide special reconsideration for other awardees on a separate track that does not hold up the arts organizations sitting in this chamber today wondering if they can trust the City of Fresno to play by the rules it set out, wondering if they will be able to keep their doors open in August, wondering if they will lose artistic talent moving to LA or Merced for that matter. If funding is not only unavailable but dangled out of reach, our city will lose talent to cities that will fund the arts in a timely manner. Furthermore, I would point out that any reconsideration of this 2024 grant cycle will do nothing to address the systemic issues of equity existing in Fresno. If this commission is desiring to increase equity, I encourage it to allow individual artists to apply for funding without the red tape of nonprofit fiscal sponsors. The city of Fresno is the home of these artists. The city of Fresno could be the fiscal sponsor. It is an equity issue that most successful nonprofits are centered in the downtown area. Individual artists, applicants, in a future round, allowing them to apply by themselves, could fix this equity issue. For now, I once more encourage you to approve these 70 recommended awards without delay on a separate track from any special reconsiderations or appeals. Thank you so much for your time, Commission.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Amaya Weldon.
Hi, Commission. My name is Amaya Weldon, and I'm just speaking on all the facts that you've heard today, but I want to take a point.
Can you speak a little closer, please?
I want to take a moment to talk about efficiency. The grant process is outlined with action steps and desired outcome dates, and there's something to be said about how many times the process was halted due to a lack of pre-preparation. I understand there needs to be time to have conversations with one another, to do research on your own, to understand how the process works, but since when has culture and arts had to be examined under such an extensive academic magnifying glass? Making an informed decision is one thing. Making groups and orgs under culture and arts jump through more hoops to validate themselves is another. I would hope that this awarding process is allowed to progress so the funds meet the entity's hands that were awarded at the rate you would allow any other processes to pass. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Don Martin. Oh, you're on a different one. I'll put you over here. Thank you. Next speaker will be Sean Wilson.
Hello, so my name is Sean Wilson. I'm a member of the community and a patron of the local venues that provide arts and cultural programs and entertainment in our community that we all benefit from. I'd like to voice my support for the organizations that have applied for access to funding provided by the passage of Measure P in 2018, as well as other organizations who were denied because of systemic barriers that prevented equitable access to those funds. The city's holdup of the funding and bureaucratic delays in these matters, and a plain lack of communication in prior events on the timeline is incredibly unfair to everyone. I approve of any effort to address this funding gap for all previously approved applicants and to remedy things for organizations who are denied funding without any further delay. I would also like to add that I hope you simply try harder moving forward to prevent delays such as these, as it wastes people's precious time and creates hardships along the way in delaying the dispersal of much needed funding that so many organizations work so hard to apply for. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Dr. Gloria Ponce Rodriguez.
Good evening, Chair McCoy and Commissioners. I am a Fresno. I live in Clovis, but I belong in Fresno. Fresno is my home. I grew up in Southwest Fresno, but I advocate for our children. I just want to support these individuals that are here, these grassroots individuals that have these grassroots CBOs, community-based organizations, to allow them to move forward on what they applied for. It is going to affect, it's going to have a big impact in our community, especially for our children. I do a lot of things in Southwest Fresno. Many people know that. I do a lot of free services. I don't have an organization. I do a lot of advocacy, and also being part of Concerned Citizens of West Fresno. It took us 14 years to fight Darling. And I believe when something's wrong, and I think the integrity, you have to have integrity. You can't strip. These individuals should not be penalized for decisions coming later and taking something from them. It's just like you're getting a paycheck. You get a paycheck, you got a raise, and the next day they tell you don't get a paycheck. I mean, you don't get a raise. How are you going to feel? You have to understand these individuals and the integrity and the trust that, that can be stripped from a commission or Parks and Recreation is detrimental for the future, not only of your board, but also our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Matthew Ponce.
And I am an art instructor and also an artist from Fresno, California. My murals are located all over Fresno, from Tower, downtown, West Side, Pinedale, all over. And you know, these grants give us the ability to continue my art, my culture healing events, and expand my Inspire Art program. It creates access to the arts and helps revitalize downtown Fresno. I am relying on the grant money to help pay other venues to use as an event space because of the construction at the Mariposa Plaza. The Mariposa Plaza construction is holding up our revenue, my, my art shows, all this other stuff. So I'm hoping, you guys could move forward with the awardees. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, William Reeve.
Hello, my name is William Reeve. I'm from Jazz Fresno. First, I just want to thank everybody involved in creating this opportunity for the Arts Commission, or for the arts community, also the city of Fresno for raising the taxes and all the citizens who are contributing. I want to encourage you to take the best step forward, which is to award the funding as it happened this year, following the guidelines that were created this year that everybody relied upon. And yes, we all learned a lot. So now let's take what we learned and let's improve it for next year. We can reach out to other parts of the city that for whatever reason maybe didn't get the funding that we were hoping they would this year. I know our organization would be willing to mentor, and I shouldn't even say mentor. This is my first time writing grants, and I was completely surprised to be getting grant money, and we're excited about it. Our organization nearly ended during COVID. We lost our physical location. But somehow we survived, and now, because of the grant process, because of the Arts Commission and the workshops, and actually even the introspection that the application caused us to take, we're looking at new ways that we can reimagine what our mission has been. We've been around for 20 years. We're a tiny organization, emerging apparently, but we've been around for 20 years. But it's got us thinking about how can we reach other parts of the community? How can we activate other members because we're all volunteer. I can't take on more, but I can help activate other people to do more. And I would love to do that. And I think everybody that worked on a grant this year, even if it was their first time, they gained valuable experience. I would love to speak to people who are nervous about trusting the process and how to go about it. I would love to help people do that. And I want to echo my gentleman here who stole my line. The enemy of good is perfection. We need to move forward and fix it going forward. Thank you.
Next speaker, Vivian Paz.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Vivian Velasco Paz. I'm the board president of Arte Americas, the Latino Cultural Arts Center in downtown Fresno. I'm also the vice chair of the Central Valley Community Foundation, which was one of the leading organizations in pushing forward Measure P. I'm here tonight speaking on behalf of Arte Americas, but I must say I am so disappointed that we're still here. We started in 2018. My little girls were in a double stroller where we were trying to get this law passed to support the arts. My oldest is now a tween. And so we need to get this done. I want to say that the process, in my opinion, was very fair and transparent. It was an open process. There were a lot of opportunities to learn about the process and to apply. And I think, we're building a foundation here. Arte Americas is a 37-year organization, but guess what? the city didn't invest in organizations like Arte, the Fresno Metropolitan Museum that no longer exists, the Fresno Art Museum, all the other larger organization struggles, and until last year, we only had one really underpaid executive director with no benefits and a part-time employee. Just last year in the fall, in the spring was the first time we hired a full-time executive director with benefits. We're building our capacity. We have three, under this grant, we're the fiscal receiver of three small organizations that will receive funding. And next year we hope to do more, but we just barely hired our financial person this year. We serve and hire artists and mariachis from Southeast Fresno. We are very intentional about being a regional hub in downtown Fresno that brings from all over the city and all over the region. I urge you to pass this. Let our children enjoy and our families enjoy in the summer concert series that we haven't had here since pre-COVID. You should see our Facebook page. They really want it back.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Mandy Lorenzi.
Hello. Thank you. And I am here. I actually, not an award recipient, but I did apply. I work with an organization, and we did not get approved. We're not actually on the list. So I think that there is a need for a little more clarity on that, including because we do have a responsibility to the public. It's not just about to the individual artists and the organizations. There is a responsibility to the public, making sure that the funds are given in a sustainable manner. And so I can relate with everybody that is needing the funds because, again, to the public, we do need to make sure that that we're good stewards of the funds. And if these people are made to wait much longer, then what's going to happen is they're going to have an excess of funds at the end of the year, which they're going to be forced to spend. And that's not going to be good stewardship of however many million dollars. So there is a need to give them the funding. And if there is some question as to the integrity of the process, if there's individual applicants, because I have heard some that seem a little questionable about the amount of funding and the amount of people served in the programs that are happening. So I do think that there needs to be a better review process in the whole process, and making sure that it serves everybody, every resident, not just artists. And on that note, I was really surprised to see with the grantees that it's really just the same names that we see in Fresno year in and year out. I don't know if this is actually going to expand access to the programs for the people in Fresno, or if it's just going to give them extra funding for the programs that are already going on. I also have some concerns if they're going to be charging for entries, some of these concerts and things like that, because if they're using that way, it's not right.
Next speaker, Ariana Chavez.
Good evening, my name is Ariana Paz Chavez. I'm the Executive Director of Arte Americas, the Central Valley's largest Latino cultural arts center. Arte serves our community by celebrating, nurturing, preserving Latino arts and cultures. We exist to represent our Latino communities with respect and dignity, and we have been fighting this fight for over 3 decades. Despite being the largest, and despite always doing our best, we have not received the city support we need to actually offer the best in arts and culture programming. You have a lot to look forward to by supporting these organizations, even the larger ones, even the ones whose names you're used to hearing over and over again. You have the power to help us deliver on the commitments that we have made to our communities, and you have the power to allow us to bring our very carefully crafted budgets to life. On behalf of Arte America's first full-time staff, I'm here to ask that the Commission prioritize our community's right to arts and culture. and I'm here to ask that the Commission ratify the recommendation that has already been approved and respect the process that so many of us have diligently participated in up to this point. Any inequity inherent to this process is the result of systemic and strategic disinvestment. You cannot fix that truth by stalling this process. This process is being tested and it can evolve over time. It will get more competitive as more people become aware of this opportunity and learn that applying is worth their time. Everyone should be as excited about this competition as I am. Let's see what we can really do. Arte Americas will happily join the Fresno Arts Council in helping people to navigate this application process in the future as we did this year. Y si quieres, lo podemos hacer en español también. Please allow us to get to work and do everything that you can to expedite the distribution of these funds. Let us show our community what is possible by getting started. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Shumalia. I always have a hard time pronouncing your name, but I know who you are. So I'm like, come on up.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Jimali Kedar. I am the director of Laotian dance group called Natasin Lao Lan Sang. I, along with the members of my group, have addressed the PRAC at the last two meetings in regards to the appeal I filed at the end of May when my proposal to support the weekly dance classes of my group and performances across Fresno was not included in the intent to award. While my address put our group in District 4, a large part of my Laotian American community students' families live in Southeast Fresno in District 5. Today, I'd like to advocate for the proposal made by Commissioner Laura Ward at the July 1st meeting to include funding for all the emerging project support and emerging general operating proposal score between 3 and 3.5. Our score was a 3.35. This would add another 6 groups into the funding pool and increase the diversity of the geographic, racial, and cultural representation. The total request of these 6 groups, $243,000, and appropriate reduced allocation will be funded from the remaining pool of unallocated funds. This action would recognize the value and support impact of the smaller community-based group like mine, allowed us to grow alongside established arts and culture organization of Fresno. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next speaker, Aaron Bird. We have to go through all the speakers first, and then I bring it back to the commission.
Very good.
Thank
Hello. I'm Erin Bird. I am the Executive Director of Arts Enrichment for All. I obviously echo what everyone has said in that we would absolutely love for you to push through for the 70 organizations that were awarded. I am going to bring up something a little bit different, though. After our last meeting here, it led me to do some digging, look at data. I am a little bit of a data nerd, and because data tells a story that removes feelings a little bit, right? And as I started to go through things, I noticed, and I broke it out for y'all if you would like it, in that the mention of changing the rubric down to a 3.0 for only emerging artists or emerging organizations. The problem that I see with that is by only doing that one small group, you also are creating something that is not consistent and equitable. When we take a look at the remaining funds that were not allocated, we are at over $837,000. So if we only fund those emerging groups, you are still going to have a surplus of like $600,000 plus inside that budget. So if we were to shift things slightly and look at across the board, if you were to then propose 70% funding to those groups that are 3.25 and above, at 70%, there would still be a surplus inside that budget of over $35,000. If you brought it down to 65%, then we're looking at a surplus of $93,000. My hope for you guys is that we take the data, we move forward with everybody who has already been approved, And then we do have a separate track where you guys can take a look at these numbers, see how we can use these funds to the fullest, leverage them so we can serve our community. Last year, we were able to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, Catherine Marchese.
Hello there, and thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Catherine Marchese, and I am the Executive Director of the Youth Orchestras of Fresno. I am proud to be the face of an organization that is about to celebrate its 75th season with the help of Measure P funds. I'm here to highlight the transformative impact that Measure P grant will have on our organization and to urge you to vote in favor of this crucial initiative now. This grant will enable us to connect with community members and expand our outreach. The delay in funding is already being felt as we have already embarked on significant planning for the upcoming season. Our target audience is the entire Fresno community, regardless of district. More specifically, all local K-12 youth, their families, and all community members. We serve up to 4,000 people annually, and all of our events are offered free of charge. All programs are offered regardless of ability to pay, so no child is excluded, and our local underserved population is, in this case, well served. Our youth orchestras are truly the face of Fresno, serving the greater community regardless of race, ethnicity, or socioeconomic status. We proudly report that 100% of our students who participate in our programs graduate from high school and pursue secondary educational opportunities. To ensure the success of our 2025 75th anniversary season for this community, with the help of Measure P funding, we've already rented rehearsal space, instruments, and music. We've had to secure concert venue dates and have already paid a commission fee for a work specifically written for our orchestras and our community by Grammy-nominated composer Juan Pablo Contreras. Measure P will directly contribute to the growth and scale of our offerings to reach more of the young people who need us the most. Thank you.
Next speaker, Patricia Wells.
Good evening. Excuse me. Good evening. My name is Patricia Wells. I'm an administrative director of a small organization called Teatro de la Tierra. And it brings back memories so many years ago, like more than 3 decades ago, when we came before the city council, when the Fresno Arts Council was asking for their first amount of money. And it was the first time $100,000 was approved by the city council. And from that time forward to now, this is the first time that my organization, small, although it says it's emerging, is the first time that we receive any significant amount of funding, which is really small compared to what I've heard today. And I'm just asking you that by withholding the funds, you're also robbing some of the children in our program of the opportunity to study music and to get on with their lives and go on the path of the arts. And Fresno is really tough in that way, that the artists here. Okay, is that it? No, you have 1 minute. Pardon?
1 minute.
Okay.
You have 1 minute.
Yes, and I'm asking you, thank you so much for your time. I realize that all of you are probably doing more than you need to, but in any case, I think it's time for the funds to be released to the groups and to all the small nonprofits, because Fresno has to change. We have to change. You have to begin to include all of the community, especially the poor. And through the COVID period, where so many farm workers died, and this is a time where you need to look out and see what people like, what are people like in Fresno. We're of all races and of all classes, and it's time for this to continue, for the funding to come through, because Fresno, like I said, Fresno has to change. It has to become a better place for artists and for culture and art. Thank you.
Next speaker, Valerie Perez.
name is Valerie Perez. I'm the founder and operator of Bloom Artistry for the last 8 years. And I just wanted to come up here to bring awareness to what the grant will be doing for Bloom. I realize we've all talked about the delays and what that means, but I just wanted to share a little bit about what we plan on doing with it and what we've been doing. Bloom helps and supports local artists with developmental and cognitive disabilities to help them to with self-expression and through the arts. And what we want to do is to keep going with that and to keep doing art shows so that our artists can show alongside the local artist community. And so we were considered for a grant. We did get a small portion of what we had proposed. So we are really excited to just, I just wanted to be here to represent our artists and artists with disabilities, artists with cognitive, developmental disabilities, and just kind of bring awareness to the fact that Fresno does have hot weather, hot and very cold weather. So this funding does help us to find venues and places so that we can house our artists and create these pop-up artist workshops to help them get ready for art hops, sell their artwork, and to have that local artist experience that a lot of Fresno artists have been having. We just wanted to really bring that equity in that experience because it's so important to give them that expression. So we just wanted to come up and represent our artists and say that and let everyone know about what Fresno could really use in that area. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I apologize in advance, but I'm having a hard time reading this name, so I'm gonna say it's Ansun Kapachu, 5561 East Atchison Street. I cannot read it. Sorry about that. And I even asked my fellow commissioner to help me, and we still couldn't. So I apologize.
That's okay, thank you. It's Anasan Gyojai.
Okay.
So I'm here to represent two nonprofit organizations, and I'm currently the board vice president for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central California, and I'm also the board member, public relations, and treasurer for the Laotian American community of Fresno. So with Measure P coming to Fresno, to the city of Fresno, it was a huge opportunity. And because I represent, we know that there is a big need to help elevate the children's future. And we wanted to provide that space for the children. And we really hope that you would release the funds soon so we can start creating those opportunities and bringing on, bringing on more, I'm sorry, I got a little excited there. Bringing more opportunities for the artists and also giving them a chance to showcase their talent.
No, you got 1 minute.
So if given that opportunity, because we've been waiting to hear from the commissioners to see when this could take place, we can also provide the promise that we've given to the folks out there that is waiting on our help as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker will be Diane, also from Big Brothers Big Sisters. I wasn't even going to attempt it. I was just going to call you by your first name.
Hi there. Good evening, everyone. It's say pack of gum real quick, and no one would ever notice. So thank you for allowing me to be here. I'm Diane Paconicum. I'm the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters Central California. We oversee 4 counties, 20 school districts. But I'm here to advocate for the children in the city of Fresno. Oh my goodness gracious, we were so happy when we got the funding. For those that don't know what Big Brothers Big Sisters is about, we're a one-to-one mentoring program. But we wanted to do more. We understood how important the arts was for the kids. We have so many children from walks of life that is going through a lot of hardship. So we have hundreds of kids on the waiting list, and they're just waiting and waiting patiently for a big brother, big sister. And so the staff, they came up with a workshop, a monthly activities for the kids on the waiting list. Then it became a weekly because it was so popular. And we started doing arts and craft with them, and I cannot tell you, when you look at these children, you have no idea what they're going through. Some of the challenges, the pain, the heartache they've been through, but for them to paint and to do so much fun things and to be kids again, it's priceless. I'm here today. You know what? I'm getting emotional just thinking about a child, so sorry. Everybody here, it breaks my heart because I know how hard it is. We followed the rules, we followed the directions, we applied for the grant. We were excited, when we got the notice like, hey, you got awarded. We were excited, we celebrated. The families were excited, the board were excited, and we had plans. I wanted to take these children that never been to the art museum, never support local artists, all these plays that we have here, Roger Rockets, you name it. And I see it being, you could buy it now, there's a discount and so forth, but the money's not released. So I told my staff we have to wait. So we missed some opportunity just because that money was earmarked for the kids. I know your job's not easy, but please think about the kids.
Thank you. Next speaker, Jose Luis Barraza.
Once again, Jose Luis Barraza. I am the Financial Chief Officer for Southeast Fresno Community Economic Development Association. I'm also an artist, and just listening to everybody, and having ran a center, and not getting those funds, those expected funds, come on, you guys, give it to them. They need it. But outside of that, equity is a significant word within the contents of this initiative that you must understand. That paying a mariachi group is not going to get us past that 5% that we received in our community. But at the same time, it's not their fault that we don't have nonprofit cultural arts organizations in Southeast Fresno. So what I'm presenting to you today is that we in Southeast Fresno are going to take this on. The Cultural Arts District. We have currently the support of Luis Chavez, our area representative on the city council. And he just got approved to begin a cultural arts district on the Cesar Chavez corridor. And we, CEFCITA, along with the community of residents and businesses, are going to be working forward in developing a plan. And so I'm presenting with you a tentative plan so that it be placed on record that we're moving forward. We're not going to wait, and we're not going to spill, but move forward in developing a cultural arts district. In the content of that, we have a vision. And that vision is...
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anyway, the material's here, read it.
Thank you. Our final speaker of the night is Lonnie Avakian.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am an educational advisor for the Laotian American community of Fresno. We are a grassroots 501(c) nonprofit organization, and I'm coming from a kind of different perspective. Our organization is beyond the arts. It's beyond dancing, beyond festivals, beyond singing, even though those are very important. There's a culture that actually will be completely ignored in our history books withoot this grant. To bring some light, there was legislation passed in 2020 by Senator Janet Nguyen down in Southern California, in which she drafted legislation to include Vietnamese history, Hmong history, Cambodian history in the history books, so that we can teach that to our K through 12. Unfortunately, Laotians, the Lao people, were left out. We went to Congress, Governor Newsom, we went through our whole community within the state of California rallied, and We got it passed through the Senate and the Assembly. However, it died at the governor's desk because at that time there was a lot of issues with ethnic bills. So because of that, just timing, it was lost. And we've been working so hard with Fresno Unified and the Department of Education in Orange County to incorporate the culture and history of Laos in those lessons, but unfortunately, Orange County denied. We worked with our superintendent, Bob Nelson, and he was very kind and allowed us to help. But please, local politics matters. You matter. Without this grant, we will be forgotten again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City Clerk, do we have anyone online?
Yes, we have Claudia Longone.
2 minutes.
Claudia, are you there? Claudia, I'm going to come back to you. Let's try Diane Nixon.
Hello, hi. I'm Diane Nixon, also representing the California Opera Guild. Beginning in December, our volunteers spent significant time demonstrating how California Opera goals align with the equity and arts goals of the city. California Opera has always been mission-driven by access and inclusion, so we felt like a natural fit for expanding arts access and spent extensive time in funding recommended programming planning. Our project began on July 1st, taking a leap of faith. We followed through with the promise we made to the people of Fresno when we committed those plans on paper. We're asking for the same.
Thank you.
We'll go back to Claudia.
Here. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Sorry. Good evening. This is Claudia Schulangone. Wow, a lot of great speakers. I'm not an arts bigwig, but I am a long-time resident of Fresno. How long? Also a long-time musician. I was in the Fresno Youth Orchestra, then the Fresno Philharmonic Orchestra, and the California Opera Orchestra, and numerous others. So I do feel I'm a stakeholder. I've watched these local orchestras grow throughout the years through all the ups and downs the arts organizations experience. I was so excited about Measure P and possibly further expanding these orchestras' development and reach. I think any great city should take pride in the quality and depth of the arts scene, whether it's visual arts, cultural arts, dance, music, or any of the other forms the arts encompass. I strongly urge the council to please move forward with dispersing the funds as promised to the various arts organizations here. The livelihood, the lifeblood of these organizations will be fortified by these funds, ensuring they'll be able to contribute even more to the vibrancy of our city with the support promised by Measure P. Please do not delay in distributing these funds, and thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Next we have Tricia B.
Hello, hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, hi, good evening, and thanks for allowing me to speak. My name is Tricia Baeza, and I am one of the co-directors alongside my sister of Hula Ohana Fresno. We're a Polynesian dance and music program. We've been partnered with the City of Fresno Parks since 1999, but we also do a lot of extra things that we don't include there with our regular work at Mosqueda. We have lots of family members, lots of students all the way from age 5 up into the 70s. And we would definitely love. I'm so happy that all of the wonderful art artists and musicians and different programs are going to be awarded funds. I just wanted to reach out in support of them. And although we do not qualify for any of these kind of funds, I did want to ask possibly for future, if organizations like mine that are associated with the city but get very, very little funding from them, that we can be considered in the future, because I know that there was a stipulation about that this time, but maybe programs like mine that are pretty self-sufficient and get very little support in the way of financial, if that was something you all can consider for the future. Polynesian dance and music are very, very important, not only for learning, but we teach so much more than just dance and the music. So much more goes into teaching students about history and geography, teaching them about important events, also just teaching things like self-esteem and community that can't just be summed up in the dance and the music. So just wanted to say, want to support all those speakers there tonight, and I just hope, in the future that you'll consider programs like ours.
Thank you, Tricia. Next, we have Alondra Williams Vasquez.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak. My name is Alondra Williams Vasquez. I am the interim executive director for the African American Historical and Cultural Museum, and I'm also a board member at Breakbox Thought Collective. Both organizations were awarded. I won't belabor the moment. You've heard all of my comrades in arms and in the arts community speak on behalf of how important it is for us to get this funding released. Some of us were seeking operational funds, some for programs, all of which are very much hinged on being able to receive the funding to implement, our programming, and also to keep our doors open and to continue to provide access to the arts for the community. So I strongly urge council to please release the funds so that we can continue to do the work that is already very difficult, sometimes as far as the funding sources are concerned, but also because people who get into this work, we don't necessarily do it for the money. We're doing it because it's our passion and it is our life's blood. It's what makes us feel alive. And being able to bring the arts to our community is one of the things that we know is vital, not just so people can be entertained, but also so that our youth have a place for expression, so that our culture, our different cultural groups have a soft place to land. And so that we can continue to be one Fresno, learning about each other, being able to celebrate each other, being able to witness the different talents that we all have. So I urge the council to please release the funds so that we can continue to do the work that we are so passionate and willing to perform, but also so that our community can benefit from the life that our different arts and cultural community brings to our community. So I thank you for this time, and I ask that you would just continue to
thank you.
Shorten this.
Next, we have Derek Payton.
Hello, my name is Derek Payton. I am the founder and executive director of Root Access. We're a community hackerspace and makerspace in the Tower District. We were not awarded any dollars. We didn't apply to any dollars, but we work with a number of organizations that did. There are our partners and friends and neighborhood collaborators. And everything that I'm seeing here tonight, I just, all I really want to do is lend my voice to the chorus and encourage you to release the funds as approved. I feel like this process of delaying, trying to make things as perfect as they can be right now, is ultimately doing more harm than good. We have time to fix this process for the next cycle, and let's address the inequities then, and fix it on a future iteration, and do good with what's been approved for this cycle. That is all. Thank you for the time.
Next, we have Joseph Rios.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Joseph Rios. I'm the incoming executive director of Lit Hop and the current poet laureate for Fresno, City of Fresno. Lit Hop was a recipient of Measure P, the Measure P grant. It's the first time the organization has sought outside funding and has operated for the last 8 years. Like many have already said, on just sort of the goodwill and volunteers of people who love poetry and literature in Fresno. And so, of course, like many in the room, we are very excited to receive this grant, or the promise of this grant, with the help actually of our fiscal sponsor, Arte Americas. We were able to qualify for this grant, but I'm taken aback by this notion of equity, having seen all the people that came up and spoke at the microphone from all these organizations that to me represent a very diverse sort of swath of Fresno and people that I look up to that do all this really great work in the city and are finally being recognized with the funds. And I just want to give gratitude to the Arts Council for their tireless work to put this all together, and also urge you to pass what's already here, and to release these funds to these organizations that that need it so much and already doing such great work in the city. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Lasing. Lasing, are you there?
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you so much, Commissioner. My name is Lysing Pratamavong. I'm also a board member of the Laotian American community of Fresno. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today. I echo with what everyone has said earlier, and investing in art can definitely bring numerous benefits to the mental health side. Engagement in cultural activity has been shown to reduce stress, elevate symptoms of depression and anxiety, and improve overall well-being. In a world where mental health challenges are increasingly prevalent, providing access to arts offers valuable avenue for emotional expression and community connection. Withholding these funds, I think it puts at risk not only the cultural vitality of our city, but also the mental and emotional health of our residents. The arts create space for healing, dialogue, and unity, all of which are essential for a healthy and thriving community. I urge you to consider the far-reaching impact of the decision and release the Measure P funds. By doing so, you will help ensure that Fresno remains dynamic, inclusive, and culturally rich. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support and all the leaders that are sitting up in the front.
Next, we have Jennifer Lee. Jennifer? Jennifer, unmute yourself.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Perfect. My name is Jennifer. I'm with Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central California. I would just like to say we are sincerely thankful for this grant, recognizing its vital importance for our youth and community. The support will enable us to expand our efforts in providing essential services and opportunity that positively impact the lives of underserved children and strengthen our community as a whole. Timely release of the funding is crucial to ensure that these initiatives can swiftly and effectively address the pressing needs of our youth and fostering growth and resilience within our community. I want to say firsthand, just seeing the child and the youth, the children, the community, their families go beyond what they're capable of doing with the funding, it's very heart-wrenching. Like, you can see their faces that they're so happy to be a part of something that they might not have the opportunity without the funding. Thank you.
There are no more speakers online.
Okay, well, we have one more speaker in chamber. Would Carolina come on up? I almost called you Daniela. That's your sister, huh?
That's my sister,
Yeah.
You're right, yes. Good evening. Thank you for taking my card this evening. My name is Dr. Carolina Simunovic. I am the sister of Daniela. I am a proud board member of Arte Americas, you've heard already, a physician in the community, a mother of children that attend Fresno Unified, an active PTA member that really tries to get kids to access art experiences at Arte Americas and beyond. And I just want to, again, join in this crowd of people urging for the release of these funds, for these projects, these activities, these concerts that have been planned, these murals that have been designed, for those to become reality so that we can start enjoying them. The work of this commission, the work of all the Measure P advocates and participants, and those that read through these proposals, those that believed in the process and tried to make as transparent and open of a process as possible, and really committed to it, from walking precincts to getting those votes for approval, from taking every step of the way through. Everyone wants to see these things happen. We want to enjoy and celebrate together. We want this year to be a year that sets precedent, and we want future years to have this process evolve and grow and bring more participants, to have more involvement. But we got to start somewhere. So let's get together, let's start, let's celebrate, let's enjoy, let's go to a concert together, and let's make these happen. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I will now close public comment in chambers and online, and we'll bring it back to our commissioners for any questions in regards to this item. I would like to start, before I open the floor up to everyone else. As someone who worked on Measure P and was the field coordinator to get this passed, that's how Dr. Chavez and I met. We sat in the room with the Yes on P committee, and we fought really hard to get this process passed. Once this commission was formed, there were questions from the commissioner on when we were going to get this art component started. And I'm glad that we got the art component started. Is everything going to be perfect? No, it's not. But we have a chance to try to do our best. As a mother of a 12-year-old who freestyles by hand, I want to make sure that we do get this done and that we do bring arts to our youth and have them channel their energy into arts and crafts instead of whatever else that they can be getting into. I just wanted to make sure that we allowed other commissioners, we have a new commissioner, to be able to review the way that it was presented to us. Didn't tell the scope of the projects, so we wanted that as well. For me, I wanted that, so I could understand what each nonprofit was doing and what their project consists of. I do sympathize with everyone in this room. Measure P was a really, really fought hard campaign, and we're here now, and now we have the funds to get things done. And I just want to commend you all for staying, speaking, and coming out. I appreciate you all. Thank you. And I will go ahead and open it up to our commissioners. You have the floor.
I would like to just jump right in and say I've tried to do due diligence and learning about the scope and the methodology, and I was involved in some of the early work towards Measure P. I think it's time, I'd like to make a motion that we accept all the grant applications that were approved on May 20th, 2024, and that we consider the appeals process separately and I don't know if this should be in this measure, in this proposal, but the idea, this was brought up several times about lowering the threshold on emerging arts and other groups. I would be open to us discussing that after this, but my proposal is that we go ahead and award these funds to all these groups. And I am sorry that I know a lot of you are still trying to put together budgets. You've let go of artists. I'm sorry for that, but let's hope we can make it right tonight. That's my motion.
Thank you. Once we hear from all commissioners in regard to this item, I will be taking a motion on if we're going to approve it or not, but I want to open the floor to all the commissioners first in case they have any questions from Dr. Chavez or have any comments in regards to this item.
No
so
problem.
I will go ahead and go to my Commissioner Miller here.
I think everybody on the commission knows where I stand on this. I think we should release the funds.
Thank you. Commissioner Singh?
First and foremost, just want to thank everyone that came out today and your fierce advocacy for the arts in Fresno. It's very commendable. I do have a question. If we were to decrease that, the threshold to, I think it was 3.5 was what was recommended by one of the audience members, how much of the parks budget would we have left? Like, do we have enough money to cover that additional application amount? And then how much would be left afterwards?
Dr. Chavez, can you come up, please?
Sure. That's a resounding yes. There are enough funds to be able to drop the threshold to a 3. So 3 and above in emerging organizations could be funded.
Do we have an exact amount of how much would be left over, or how much we would be giving, how much additional funding would be given out if we decrease that threshold to 3?
Darn, I wish I would have been prepared for that question. I don't know exactly, but we will have
I have
funds.
it.
Hold on a second, please. Can we please let Dr. Chavez talk? You can bring it up and set it up here for us, please. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. The budget difference. So we were only spending $8,615,456. So we still would have, if we lower the threshold, we would be taking. I think I'm going to need you because I can't read your chart. No, please, go ahead.
So if we were to not just look at the emerging category, if we were
oh, that's the question.
Oh, then that is, we can go here.
That's why.
But it depends on, I didn't know that it was just for emerging. Was it for?
I believe Commissioner Ward has the number as well.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. It was
Okay.
my proposal to expand the allocation in the emerging categories on both the project and operating support to the 3.0 to 3.9 at 80% funded. That proposal would utilize $189,597.60 of the approximately $800,000 remaining in the first year grant funding.
Will that affect any grantees that have been awarded and received letters?
No, it doesn't diminish or decrease any of the other awards. It would just expand the range of potential awardees receiving funds.
Correct.
Madam
Thank
Chair,
you.
I'd like to address the commission at the appropriate time.
1 second. Commissioner Singh, do you have any other questions?
Nothing that I can
Nothing?
Right.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner?
Can I make a point, though?
Yes.
With regard to that question and the secondary proposal that was presented by one of the audience members, there are also enough funds if we lowered the amount from the 80% to 70% to lower the threshold across the board. So, okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Barraza, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for allowing to have some discussion before we have motions because we do have still some concerns about the equity process in the allocation of resources. But I do want to point out that as far as the original number of proposals that were recommended by the Arts Council, I feel very comfortable that the Arts Council has done an excellent job and has done really a lot of work in evaluating proposals. And I concur with a lot of you that have pointed out that you, in good faith, prepared proposals. You worked very hard. Putting proposals together takes time and effort. So we are actually, all of us, I would think, we're on your side actually. So we're not necessarily against all the good ideas and all the good work that you folks do. However, we do have a fiduciary responsibility to ask questions. And the questions, one of the questions I asked was, where's the money going? And it's not required that you provide information by district, but guess what? I wanted to know what Southeast Fresno, Southwest, and South Central, how much money was being received by those areas. And they happen to be Southeast Fresno is predominantly a Mexican community, and other parts of the Southwestern, other parts also have other ethnic groups, the concentration of other ethnic groups. Therefore, to me, that was very important. And then we found out that District 5, for example, was getting only 3% of the total funds. And then there are some districts that got 40%. That is not fair. I mean, I'm a commissioner, and one of my responsibilities is really to look after the members of the whole city. But I cannot ignore certain areas where we have less sophisticated people that are not able to put applications together, that don't have the resources to do that. However, at the last meeting, we had a very good conversation with Lilia Chavez, the executive officer for the Arts Council. And she actually concurred with us about the importance of targeting communities that are being underfunded, maybe for the next round. So that, this gentleman here was so nice that he says, I'll be willing to help. That's beautiful. That's what we want, that we work together, that we help other groups that are less fortunate. And the Arts Council actually in the past had done it, where they helped organizations prepare grant applications. So we have all the ingredients to make this relationship a win-win relationship where we all advance. We had to have that pause that happened at the last meeting. I felt that was very necessary because we didn't actually have very good information, and also the information we got was provided to us just like maybe a day or two before the meeting. So it was kind of very limited. But I think that what I really hope, I'm actually very supportive that we approve the category of projects that the Arts Council has recommended for funding. And then if you want to add other adjustments, I mean, that's subject to whatever this commission would like to do and what we're actually legally able to do that our city attorney will tell us. But I really think that it's very important that we formalize the help that we need from the Arts Council for the next round to provide technical assistance to those groups or to those neighborhoods that don't have the sophistication of having people that can put grants together and all that. But I think that's important that it'll be recorded that that's something that this commission agrees that we can do. But I'm ready to make a motion at the appropriate time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Soto.
I just want to say thank you to all of you for your time, for your words, for your advocacy. I think this is what's going to make this process better going forward and hopefully continue to improve year over year. There was a lot of mention of equity, of why are we here? Why are we still here, right? And so from my perspective, I think I think there were several issues, equity being one concern, but I think another big one for me was transparency. And, again, requesting information about, target areas and things like that, I think are important for us to see if we want to improve going forward, to see where, maybe there's outreach that's lacking or accessibility or whatever the case, to kind of respond to the comment about, certain areas being less sophisticated. I kind of take offense to that, to be honest, because I think we have a lot of sophistication. What we don't have is outlets and platforms and accessibility. So I think those are the things that we wanted to have a clear picture of before moving forward, and to see how we can address them to do right by not the folks that we've already approved because of all the wonderful work that you're doing, and thank you again for that, but to catch as many of the folks that fell through the cracks, right? And so we're hearing some solutions about lowering, the score guidelines and such. I had the privilege and the pleasure of meeting with, Dr. Chavez, and she provided a lot of clarity and answered a lot of my questions. So thank you, and thank you for all of your hard work and all of your time and energy that you've put into consistently being here to answer those questions for us and help us be better, right? I think, I was relieved to get more clarification on the appeal process as well. So for those folks that have not gotten approved, I look forward to hopefully seeing your faces again through that appeal process should, we continue forward. And I would be in support now again, since we've kind of had all of the information presented to us. We've had time to review it. We've had time to have discussions. I feel a lot more comfortable and confident in supporting us moving forward with those folks that we've already approved. Thank you all for your patience as we all learn. And I hope that you will continue after this process is completed to come and be engaged and advocate and, help us reach out to those folks that are needing and those additional supports. So thank you all.
Thank you. Commissioner Ward.
Thank you. I too wanted to express my appreciation and thanks for everyone who participated in the first round of this art grant process, and to the Arts Council for all of their hard work. I wanted to actually echo Commissioner Soto's comments from the beginning of the meeting that this is something where I think timely communication could have really led to improvements. At the June 17th meeting, I don't think I was the only commissioner who didn't understand what was happening and why it was happening. And I think that if there is improved communication to the commission, in addition to distributing information in formats that's readily readable and contains all the required information, we will hopefully be able to move through processes like this more quickly in the future, feeling that we are fully informed. And I agree with Commissioner Miller. I think we need to do what we can to release the funds, and I'm hopeful that we can continue to make process improvements through the grants, this Measure P grant process each year as we revisit and revise the guidelines to continue to make sure that it serves all of Fresno in the way it was intended.
Thank you. City Attorney, I have a question. Do I have to do each category, or can I just approve it as a whole? Ask for a motion as a whole?
Sorry, you'll have to break it down because I believe there was a conflict the last time you voted, so we will need the abstention from one of the categories, so that's why we broke it down the way we did.
Okay, no problem. Is there a motion to approve the EAAC Emerging Organizations General Operating Support as recommended by the Fresno Arts Council?
Madam Chair, is it possible, I would ask City Attorney, that we proceed with the approval, and how do we memorialize or how do we record the importance of targeting those areas that are underfunded, the ones that are below 10%, for example, and that we ask for future allocations, that the Arts Council provide technical assistance to applicants?
I think you just did. Pretty much kind of how you're doing it now, you can, based after discussions, just let the Arts Council know, when we get ready to go over the new guidelines, you can discuss it then, and each commission can voice their concerns, opinions, recommendations at the time that we're getting ready to update the grant guidelines.
So we can do that right now?
No, because right now we're just approving the recommendations for that the Fresno Arts Council. So
But as one of the commissioners, I'm already on record indicating the importance of addressing, as we update the regulations for grants, that we then will have an opportunity to all of us make contributions as to how we can improve the guidelines, I suppose, right?
Yes, and when during the discussion, I believe it was voiced, so at this point, it would just be voting, a motion, a second, and then voting on the proposed recommendations.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm ready whenever you are.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I need a point of clarification. Are we voting for all the ones that are approved at one time?
So we have to take it category by category. So I'm going to read out each category, and then I'm going to ask if all in favor, aye, all opposed, no, and then we move on.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Let's get back to approving this stuff so we can get on with our lives here. Is there a motion to approve the Emerging Organizations General Operating Support as recommended by the Fresno Arts Council? Do I have a motion?
So move.
Commissioner Barraza, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Singh. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. This item is approved. All right. Is there a motion to approve the Emerging Organizations Project Pacific Support as recommended by the Fresno Arts Council? Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Thank you, Commissioner Singh, and thank you, Commissioner Miller, for the second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no. That item is approved. All right. Is there a motion to approve the EAAC General Operations Support as recommended by the Fresno Arts Council?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Do I have a second?
I second. Oh,
Okay.
you did? Okay.
No, he'll be abstaining from this one, so you second this one, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. This item is approved. Is there a motion to approve the EAAC Project Pacific Support as recommended by the Fresno Arts Council?
I so move.
Thank you, Commissioner Barraza. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I didn't hear who said it.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Soto. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. This item is approved. So as a reminder, any applicant not recommended to receive an award may submit a written appeal to the Fresno Arts Council staff no later than 5 p.m. by the 10th calendar day following the notification from the Fresno Arts Council that no award is being recommended. In addition, any appellant may request from the Fresno Arts Council written comments submitted by the evaluation panels to help the appellant prepare for their response. We will now move on to our next hearing item.
Just a point of clarification and perhaps an opportunity for another motion, and that was lowering the threshold to a 3 in the emerging categories. Could we have that motion? Is that still a consideration?
Yeah.
And that was something that the Commission Cultural Arts Subcommittee discussed in partnership with the Fresno Arts Council as service provider as contemplated by Deliverable 6 of the contract with the city.
Under which one?
Deliverable 6, number 1, identifies that it's in partnership with the Cultural Arts Subcommittee and the Arts Council as service provider that they would present the recommendations of proposed recommended grantees.
So are you recommending, because it was my understanding that the commission is only to approve what the Fresno Arts Council recommends, so.
And actually, it's what the commission's subcommittee recommends. Again, just a point of clarification. The Arts Council does not independently make the recommendation. The Arts Council makes the recommendation jointly with the subcommittee of the commission. And it was the recommendation of the subcommittee in the opening presentation of the subcommittee today to lower the threshold to 3.
That would be something I need to look into before I can provide an answer tonight.
Then perhaps that could be a motion at a future meeting. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations. Thank you all.
Can I request a 2-minute break, please? Thank you.
That's their responsibility.
All right, I would like to call the meeting back to order. If you are here for the rest of the meeting, please take a seat. All right, we're going to continue with our hearings. ID number 24-916, election of chair and vice chair to the Parks, Recreation, and Arts Commission for fiscal year 2025. I motion that we table this until our next park meeting. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. I did it wrong?
Yeah.
Oh.
So you still need to let it go out to public since it's a hearing, and then you can make a motion to table it until next meeting.
All right. Does any member of the public have any comments in regards to this item? Seeing none, do I have to do my motions over again? Okay, this item passed. We will now move on to unscheduled communication. Would any member of the public like to speak on any issue within the jurisdiction of this commission? You will have up to 2 minutes. If you would like to make any comments regarding workshops, now is the time to do so. If you would like to make a comment regarding any of the scheduled hearings, comments will be taken when each item is called. Seeing none, we will go ahead and move.
There's one person.
I think your item is on the last one. Okay, I'm gonna call, but you can start making your way up. I'm getting ready to call you up right now. I just have to read the title. Moving on to 12C, ID number 23-877, hearing to receive public input on allocations related to Measure P, updates to the Parks Master Plan and Cultural Arts Plan, and annual Parks Department budget and capital improvement plans. And I do have some cards up here. The first person I will call would be Dr. James Aldridge.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
Members of the commission, this will be real brief. You've had a very successful night after going through all of the discussions. I think all has really been said. And what we are passing out here is what we refer to as a new project for your, as I understand it, your second round of approvals, or it might be related to fitting in the category of funds that you have left over. That's up to the commission to decide. But what you have in front of you is what we refer to as the African American Renaissance Legacy Drive. That starts out basically at Edison High School, and if you would just follow the red arrow, you'll see where it goes down through the community. And this particular, there's the 2 minutes, yeah, I know. This particular map, you look on both sides of it. On the one side, it shows all of the important places related to the African American community. There is this particular project is keeping the legacy drive for our children, our children's children. There's been a kind of a historical misplacement of contributions from African Americans, and this particular project, if you will restore some history and some cultural aspects of contributions. Not found on this one, because we're just getting into it, is a listing of people who've made historical contributions to, I'm used to that. I used to be the city manager here, and I know what that means, Madam Chairman. But what you have in front of you is in fact that, and so it goes for the next round. What I plan to do, if it's in your agreement, to come back on the 19th, I guess, when the process might start, and we can give a full presentation. But we will be working with the Fresno City and County Historical Society in putting all of this together so it fits with the whole community. You might have some question you want to ask me now, but this is
I got one more.
A Renaissance effort.
Yeah, one more card. Don, did you want to come up and speak? You will have up to 2 minutes to address the commission.
I look around and everybody's gone. I run away.
Well, first of all, thank you for the 2-minute break. I needed it. So I'm just going to echo what he said. And what you'll see here is a QR code where you could scan. So if you're driving in Southwest, well, anywhere in the world, but if you're on Southwest Fresno, you can scan that and it'll come up on Google Maps, and you'll be able to see places where there are African-American businesses or people who've gone to Olympics or have become city manager in places that they've done very instrumental things in Fresno. So that's pretty much it for now until we see you on the 19th. Any questions?
Madam Chair, may I ask a quick question?
Yes, you may.
Have you folks thought about the creation of a cultural arts district?
Absolutely. And I was tuned in, and every person that came up here, I was like, yes. My speech changed like 10 times every time someone came up. But yes, definitely.
This is beautiful when you see the vision of something that is coming up.
Correct.
And that's beautiful. I just want to say that. Thank you.
And is that my 2 minutes or one? Okay.
No, 1 minute.
So, and I tell you, I went to do some research. I've been tirelessly researching and talking to people like Dr. Aldrich here. And there's so much history that you would not believe how much history just really ties in a lot of cultures here. So this is a wonderful project. Please call one of us and you can ask any questions. Answer.
Wonderful.
Thank you. That'll be all. Thank you. All right, it is 8:14. As always, I would like to adjourn the meeting in the memory of Dr. Francine Apuda, who is deeply missed. And thank you for your patience. And please go home and enjoy your time with the rest of your family. Thank you.